Welcome back to the podcast, guys. Another week with your host, Adrian. Sarah's not here yet, but the reason why is because she got a little sick, but that's okay. She's way better now. And good news, she's actually locked in her apartment. Woo! So either this will be the last time we'll be here, maybe, or we will be at her place. Yeah, I know it's exciting. I feel like now that we're moved out, everyone's like slowly getting their like crap together. Oh, no, I'm really excited for what these next months hold for us. I just finished watching the F1 movie in 4D. So apparently AMC does not have that, but Regal does. And honestly, I don't know if I can ever watch a moving movie, like with planes or like cars and stuff, like the same ever again. It was a little more expensive. It cost like $30, but I would say it was very worth it. The movie was kind of long, I'm not gonna lie, but I think like just the way they filmed all like the cinematography, the story was like wasn't anything mind-blowing. Like it was pretty much just like, let's bring this team to like number one. It was really cute. I'll give it that. But aside from that, the 4D went kind of crazy because at first this was like everyone's first time, and we like hopped on, and then the 4D didn't start when the movie started. It started during the trailers. So low-key, there's a horror movie trailer. I think it's like the new Conjuring or something. And we're like shaking all over the place. And Rebecca can't watch it because like she gets really scared of like the horror movie trailers. So like obviously her eyes are like covered. But the whole time like her seat is like shaking back and forth and she's just bobbing along. So highly recommend 4D if you haven't given it a chance. Highly recommend the F1 movie. Honestly, was it better than Thunderbolts? Yes, I would say it was better than Thunderbolts. I actually am a big fan of F1, Go Williams. So I think that's why I was like, damn, that was a good way to make a movie without making it too cheesy. I think like the way to get someone to F1 is to like have, I don't know, like I didn't get into it until I started watching Drive to Survive on Netflix. So that was kind of how I got into it. And I think this movie will be like another, like everyone who watched it with us was like, damn, I want to like watch F1 a little more, aside from staring at the cute men Alex Albon. Anyways, so yeah, we're getting our podcast stuff kind of more settled going forward, and Sarah will be back soon. But at least another weekend with moi. Goes without saying, I'm a physical therapist. I say that a lot. I'm very sorry. If you don't know me, I've been practicing for not that long, actually. I was a new grad last year. So I think 1 year anniversary in what months from now? 3 months, 4 months? So that's been very exciting. But no, I feel like my journey has not been too long, but I've actually learned so much. Like the time I've spent working is just, well, I guess the type of learning is kind of different too, right? Like school is more like clinical stuff and like the ins and outs, but then like working is just like work stuff, like life itself. But if you know where I work, please don't dox me. I'm not trying to go against any of the company policies, but like in all honesty, I work with an amazing team. I work with an amazing manager who cares for us. I love the patient population that we work with. We get a little bit of everything, like the kids, the old people. We got some like different neurological diseases here and there. So it's really fun to kind of use like all facets of my brain versus like working with a specific type of population. Today's podcast topic will be me kind of talking about some thoughts I've journaled about while working at my hospital. It is from the aspect of like healthcare, but I think like the themes of what I'm talking about and thinking about kind of applies to everything and everyone. So don't feel like if you don't work in healthcare, this isn't meant for you, because a thought I had on my way home, isn't maturity just putting words to emotions that you previously didn't have before? Like, I feel like a lot of these thoughts that I'm having, it's nothing like profound, It's more so just, I can process what happened to me and, like journal and all that stuff. But yeah, hopefully if you are a healthcare worker, I hope you feel seen and feel heard. If you're not a healthcare worker, come sympathize with us and we'll see how it goes. So the first point that I had actually journaled about very early on in my healthcare career was you can't help everyone, and that's okay. I think school teaches healthcare in a very interesting way. You have your person, you have your diagnoses, you have how to help them. And I wouldn't say like physical therapy, like the way it's being taught, is so much different from other healthcare professions. You know, like you're taught a pathology, you're taught how to diagnose it, and then you're taught what the solution to that is. So I think like as a new graduate, you come into the field and like first of all, everyone who's in healthcare wants to help people. Like it's all we care about. But then like once you start working, I think it's just a sad reality that not every patient is the cookie cutter perfect like model that you were handed in school. Just from my perspective, again, we work with a lot of like post-ops, people who come from the direct hospital with like surgical procedures and they need like the rehab on the side to kind of get them going. A lot of times like school exams, school cases, patient yada yada age presents 2 weeks after post-op. Obviously, like I know what to do with that, but that's not the case in real life, right? Like, I feel like I would see patients who were like 8 weeks post-op. And at that point, I'm not saying that like they're a lost cause, but the work to get them back is so much harder. And oftentimes, like, you start asking questions. You're like, well, why did you come so late? And hey, healthcare workers are judgmental. Let's just leave it at that. But I think it's like the more you talk to people, truly, it's just like there's so many different groups of people from different financial situations, privileged to underprivileged, people who just simply misheard their doctor or didn't take time to read the protocol. And it is not your fault for not being able to like help them, essentially. I think we forget that like people have autonomy. People can do whatever they want, no matter how much you educate them. Even if you're trying to do like what's best for them, they can take all of that and throw it out the window. And at the end of the day, that is not your fault. There were a couple cases where I was like, what the heck do I even do with you? And I don't even think it was because I didn't know like what to do with them. It's one of those cases where the school is like, oh, like if you run into this, but you probably won't, this is what you should do. And physical therapy, I think our field is really special that we get to spend a prolonged amount of time with people for months at a time, like 2 months, 3 months, and even for some patients, like up to a year. And I don't think you get that connection in other professions. And I think the one thing that I'm learning now is like, sometimes they come to physical therapy, not necessarily to like be physically helped. Physical therapy does a lot of other things for them, provide companionship, a way for people to feel community. I think one of the funniest things is that patients will actually come to therapy and make friends with each other. And the best ones are those who can offer kind of like hope to each other. Without revealing too much, I had a patient who's almost finishing their rehab. And then I had a patient who had just started the rehab. Kind of like the same stuff going on. And the person who had just started was like, oh my God, I'm in so much pain, like da 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 da, like I'm so scared. I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to do X again, Y again. And like I had just finished working with the person who was about to be done, like literally done in like 2 to 3 weeks. And I think just like that aspect of that new person is able to ask all of the questions, all of the concerns to that new person. And that new person just kind of assures them like, hey, you will get better. And I don't know. I think that's just like, it's so reassuring knowing that even if I can't help them, I know everyone, like the community can, right? We often joke that people come, like physical therapy is really like a social club that you can just like kind of pull up and just hang out. And I think that's honestly what it is. And that's okay. We don't have to be the problem solvers all the time. We don't have to be the go-getters. We can just be there to chill and hang out with them. I think that translates to daily life too. We're not here to solve all of our problems. I think having problems in our lives actually makes life a little more worth living. Just as people in corporate, or even like, I can talk about accounting because Rebecca works in accounting, but like, you're not meant to be able to solve every case by yourself. It's okay to lean on people. It's okay to ask for help. I don't know if I got a little off track, but okay. Anyways, moving on. Yeah, so point 1, you can't help everyone, and that's okay. Number 2, my coworkers are humans too. Shout out to my team at our hospital. Like, I love every one of y'all. So when I first started at my hospital, I was actually trained at another location, and that was like the OG crew. And then, so I'm at currently a second location, and at the second location, they had hired another new grad with me. So like, he and I are like work brothers now. Like, he's also from Dallas, which is so funny. He's like literally the Spanish, like he's like half white, half Hispanic, like the other version of me. And like we have the same like humor and stuff. And then, so besides us, we have a bunch of other different coworkers who've actually been at the hospital for way longer than us, but they've been so like nice and like inviting us into like everything that they do. I don't want to be cheesy and say that like it feels like it's family, but I think like having coworkers that I enjoy working with and seeing every day is so like underrated. And our manager, so I hadn't actually interacted with him too much. He would sometimes come to the other location I was trained at and just like say hi or drop off like some supplies and whatnot. But like he interviewed me when I visited here. He remembered me, and like he's just like a chill dude. Like I don't know what to say. He honestly, like, his laid back personality has made like working for this place like a true pleasure. Now, let's talk about the like my coworkers are humans. I feel like I don't really have that much life experience coming from school. School is such a weird like, a sphere of existence by itself. Like I did undergrad and grad school 7 years in a row. I don't think I realized how much of like life I was like missing out on. And so like, okay, I know that I want to say this very carefully. I think gossiping about patients is like bad, right? Like just as is like swearing or getting angry, you know? But I think like we forget that your healthcare provider is also human, not just like a means for you to obtain a certain like good or services, right? Because you're essentially paying for like a transaction, and typically it's like a service towards you, like I'm here to help you. But I think we oftentimes forget that like we are human too. We have bad days, we have days we wake up late, we have life like that exists outside of work. And I just think about like TLDR, a lot of my coworkers have been going, like stuff happens to people, right? And that's completely okay. So I think it's like we need to give more grace to the people we interact with because we don't know truly what's going on behind the scenes. Even like my 8 hours I spend a day at the hospital, or I'm gonna say clinic, I don't say hospital anymore. I don't truly know what's going on. And like I try to check on people and whatnot. I don't know where I'm going with this. But yeah, just like have a little more grace with the people that you interact with every single day. Whether it's like the barista you see every morning, your coworkers at work, your boss, like everyone is just doing their best to bring kind of their best game, their game face to work. And that's all we can ask for them, right? Okay, point 3. I will forever preach on this. I will forever. And I think that's why I chose to be in this field. Guys, truly stop taking your healthy life for granted. I'm not trying to like be a pessimist or whatnot, but there's going to come a day when your body deteriorates. And just 2 points to that. I think you can handle it as like regret or kind of like acceptance. Regret in the sense that like I wished I did more for my body back in the day so I could avoid what's going on. And then acceptance, like I understand this is just like the part of aging that I can't control, and let me make like the most of it. I think there's just so many times like reflecting on work that I have so many patients that say like, I wish I could do blank. The younger they are, they're like, oh, I wish I could like run a certain amount of time. I wish I could like jump higher or whatever. But like my older patients just want to like exist without pain. And that's so humbling almost that I'm able to do all that I want right now. And that sometimes like I'm able to live recklessly without like, what's that word? Oh my God. I know. Anyways, there's going to come a certain age when like one day, let's say you have knee arthritis. All you want to do is take a step and be without pain. All I want to do is walk my daughter down the aisle and be without pain. All I want to do is be able to walk home, like up the stairs and be without pain. I guess the other thing to talk about is like surgeries, right? Like surgeries are interesting. I think like for the most part, they're great, but surgeries are not perfect. There's a couple things that it depends on. Your surgeon, his technique and his skill, how you handle rehab, and how your body handles rehab. I think it's like you can do all that you want, stick to the protocol and do like the most amazing work ever. But if your body doesn't cooperate, you're just never going to get better. And that's the scary part. To be a little more science, like, so it doesn't feel like I'm kind of speaking out of my butt. Sarcopenia is like the loss of muscle. I have some like statistics from ChatGPT. They can begin at 35%, but generally muscle mass begins to deteriorate starting at 30. And you lose about 6 to 8% every year. And then when you hit kind of like 60, it just takes a sharp dive. And obviously, like, this statistic is for someone who has a sedentary lifestyle. Again, I'm not like trying to make you feel bad or I'm trying to like scare you into like working out and whatnot, but also like use this time and this body that you have to do all that you want and take every opportunity to maximize it, because we're not given this body forever. And it's hard for like us like younger people to like envision the end game, but like I work with the end game every single day. Let's talk bone density. So I think this is very important. Again, around like 30-ish kind of seems like when everything kind of goes down. You lose about 0.3%, 0.5% loss every single year. But like women specifically, once y'all hit menopause, your estrogen levels take like a deep dive. And then as a result, you can develop something called osteoporosis. And what that essentially is like your bones become kind of thin and brittle. So like hypothetically, if you were to fall, your chances of fracturing something would be a little higher than like a man. Again, the point is not to scare, it's to educate, right? Yeah, I like don't think scare tactics work, but like these things are like to motivate you, you know? First and foremost, you have to take care of yourself physically and mentally. And it's just like having balance in both, right? Like if you're super like mentally taken care of, you need to have the physical aspect to balance it out, and vice versa. Kind of the last point I want to talk about. It's been made more apparent in my life. People in healthcare, I think we're the one field where it feels like the other side really needs us. I think more than often, other fields, let's just say banker or like a tech bro and whatnot, on the other side of your product is not necessarily someone who's like, oh my God, I need this AI software or I need this iPhone or else I'm going to die. Healthcare workers on the other side, depending on what field you work in, sometimes it is like that. Healthcare workers have it different because every single day, no matter what baggage you carry, no matter what is going on in your life, you have to put on this kind of good face. You have to put on a front, almost compartmentalize what's going on with you and show up for your patients. Because at the end of the day, when your patients come, it's not because they're coming to hang out. They're coming because they need help. They're coming because they're in pain. And that's the beauty, but also like the hard part about healthcare. Like every single day for 8 hours a day, I'm meeting my patients at their lowest. And hopefully from someone who doesn't work in healthcare, you can appreciate how if I'm doing this consistently every single day for years upon years, that burnout can happen. I feel like when I started working, maybe it was like 5 months in, I was like, is me burning out right now an issue with how, like, was that a predictor of how I would do in this field? And low-key, I was like spiraling. I'm like, I've only been working for 5 months. Should I consider another career path? But I don't see burnout as like a weakness, or that the amount of capacity you have to work is a weakness. I think burnout is just indicative that you care so much about your patient. They're constantly going beyond what you're able to give. And it's not something that you should fight against. I think it's just acceptance. Burnout just shows that you truly care for all of your patients, and that even if like humans are meant to do that, I think your intention for why you're doing it really matters. And that's all you can do in healthcare. Give your best and hope that you made a highlight in someone's day. And just to like expand on that, it applies to everyday stuff too. Just going back to like, everybody has their crap. Everybody has things going on, right? Sometimes something as easy as like a $1 tip at a cafe, or saying thank you, or holding the door for someone is the highlight of their day. And I think if we all just like showed a little more grace, a little more appreciation for what's going on in the world and in each other's lives. But yeah, I just ask that like everyone be a little nicer to each other and be more appreciative of like what everyone's going through. Okay, guys, that concludes another episode with Adrian. This felt a little more scatterbrained, but I hope you guys appreciate it. We'll be back with more structured episodes. Emma Chamberlain, you are the GOAT. Now, whenever I have to do like a solo podcast, I'll like pregame with pre-workout and also Emma Chamberlain so I can inspire myself to talk better. But truly, solo talking is a skill that I'm still working on, and we'll get there eventually. But yeah, guys, if you work in healthcare, or you work or you don't work, or you're just someone who feels like you resonated with anything that I said, please drop a comment. I hope like the words I'm saying are not meant, again, I'm not trying to blow your mind with something you haven't thought about, but it's more so just, it's nice to hear that someone else is struggling the same thing with you, right? I'm so curious to see how I continue to mature as a person, but also as a like medical provider, because I still want to do all that I can to help people. But like, I do feel like that limited capacity, you know, and working in healthcare is not easy, guys, as is working in other fields, but it's just, there truly is like a grind to it. There is a lull to it too. If you work in healthcare, you are some of the most selfless people that I know, and you're putting yourself forward every single day, no matter whatever crap is going on at home, to help someone else. And I think that's just such a noble, that's such a nice job to have, to be able to help people truly. Okay, I will stop rambling. It has been great talking to you guys again. We should be back next week. This is, it kind of feels like we're doing like a season 2 thing. So this feels like episode 2 of season 2, but we are back. We are back. Thank you guys again for everything that you guys do. Enjoy the rest of the week. Stay safe, guys. I think when this comes out, July 4th will be over already. So please, 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 I hope you had a good July 4th. Please continue to like our podcasts, continue to like our shorts. Everything that you guys do really help to promote the channel and keep the content growing. I still have so much passion for making this podcast, just a podcast, place where I can just talk. So yeah, thank you guys for tuning in every single week. Look forward to more and more content, guys. And with that, TTYL.